In 1967, after completing its mission, the Soviet spacecraft Soyuz 1 returns to Earth with cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov on board. Tragically, upon landing, the mission ends in disaster. Decades later, under the leadership of Swedish billionaire Meyer, a Mars expedition is in preparation. After 10 months of travel, the crew aboard the spaceship Ulysses finally reaches the Red Planet. The captain receives clearance for landing and instructs the ship's AI, Irene, to run final checks for a smooth descent. Meanwhile, Meyer reflects on his sacrifices, spending 4 years and almost all his wealth to fund the mission, only to discover that the American corporation Zillion landed 2 weeks earlier. However, no communication has been received from the American crew, apart from a cryptic video warning others to stay away. A heated discussion erupts among the crew, but the captain remains resolute. The landing will proceed. As Irene begins final preparations 30 minutes before descent, an unexpected malfunction occurs. The ship fails to detach from its carrier system, endangering the entire crew. The only way forward is manual separation. The commander ventures outside to perform the risky task, but is thrown into space when the shuttle enters Mars's atmosphere. With a system failure causing a power outage, the crew is forced to rely on manual landing. AI Irene shuts down, yet the astronauts manage to touch down safely. However, they are now stranded. Fuel reserves are depleted, and Irene does not reboot. With life support down, they have only a day to survive. As Alessandra mourns her husband's loss, she notices a figure in a spacesuit outside the window. Meanwhile, a systems diagnosis confirms that too much fuel was used during landing, making a return to orbit impossible. The only option is to wait for the solar panels to recharge the generators, a process that requires 2 days, but a storm looms, making that time frame untenable. Simon suggests investigating the wreckage of Zillion's ship, Zeta 1, which might have usable power sources. The team splits up. A group heads out in a rover, while the remaining crew attempts to restart the system. Engineer Basil recalls Irene's energy-saving function and initiates a reboot, but the AI remains unresponsive. At the wreckage site, the team finds a surviving solar panel but no sign of the American crew. However, they discover an unconscious astronaut. Oxygen levels on their ship are dangerously low, and while some hesitate to bring a stranger aboard, Jana insists on rescuing him. They also recover Zeta 1's black box before returning. When they arrive, Jan refuses to open the doors, arguing that survival chances are higher with fewer people on board. As Alessandra tries to persuade him, the mysterious astronaut wakes up, just as Irene suddenly activates and opens the doors. Upon examination, the astronaut identifies himself as Vladimir Komarov, a Soviet cosmonaut from Moscow, born in 1927. He claims to be following orders from the USSR government, but has no memory of how he arrived on Mars. His responses are consistent with the knowledge of his time, leading to suspicions that he may be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. A message is sent to Earth, and Zillion responds, stating that no Russian personnel were part of their mission. The crew is left grappling with an unsettling mystery. How could a cosmonaut who perished in 1967 be standing before them? A psychologist is assigned to question Komarov, and he first requests food. As Jana brings him a meal, she bluntly informs him of his supposed death decades ago. Surprisingly, he remains calm. Meanwhile, the ship remains unstable, with no working engines or fuel, making a return journey impossible. Komarov's behavior is monitored closely, but soon he vanishes without explanation. A search yields no results until Irene detects a heat signature outside the ship. A team led by Simon follows the trail and finds Komarov near a peculiar stone structure resembling a small pyramid. He tells Jana, "Mars has been waiting for you for a long time." Meanwhile, on Earth, Zillion's founder Goldstein learns of the astronaut's presence and deduces that he couldn't have arrived on Mars naturally. He must have been created there. If that is the case, then only an AI could have survived Mars's hostile conditions for such a long period. This revelation sparks intense interest in further study. Irene analyzes the stone structure and determines that it shares striking similarities with ancient Earth civilizations. The implication is clear. Either humans borrowed architectural designs from extraterrestrials, or someone was inspired by human civilization. The Ulysses crew grows increasingly uncertain about their chances of returning home, and tensions mount as Goldstein's second expedition lands on Mars. Captain Gemma of the Zillion ship makes contact, offering assistance, but Meyer is wary of their intentions. He urges the crew to hide Komarov, suspecting that the Americans will want to take him. Two armed soldiers, Edward and Adam, arrive and aggressively demand the black box from Zeta 1. Meyer complies, handing it over, and the soldiers leave. Meanwhile, chemist Eva discovers that the Martian stone contains a mysterious alloy called orichalcum, mentioned in ancient texts as the metal of Atlantis. Its composition includes an unknown third DNA strand, just like Komarov's. Zhana hypnotizes Komarov, attempting to uncover the truth, but he only recalls his final moments aboard Soyuz 1. Later, Gemma and Alan return, apologizing for the soldiers' conduct and offering assistance. Zhana recalls Komarov's sorrowful words about Earth's bleak future due to humanity's recklessness. Meanwhile, Meyer reveals a hidden agenda. 4 years ago, a rover captured images of a Martian stele containing unknown DNA, prompting him to finance the mission. Gemma deciphers the stele's inscription, revealing it as a sequence of numbers. Suddenly, Jan leads a mutiny, distrusting Meyer's secrecy and advocating for allegiance with Zillion. Basil deciphers a copy of Zeta 1's black box, revealing that the oxygen supply was cut off precisely when an American crew member attacked Komarov. This suggests he was aboard their ship. Moreover, Komarov's presence activated Irene. Meyer then reveals the rover images, which, when decrypted, show Zhana's face. She is furious. Meyer manipulated them all. On Earth, scientists inform Goldstein that Komarov is a biological machine, much like an advanced AI program. Goldstein, desperate to overcome his terminal illness, sees an opportunity. His consciousness could be transferred into Komarov's body, though at the risk of losing his identity. Meanwhile, on Mars, Zhana sneaks out, following coordinates given to her by Komarov. As tensions rise aboard Ulysses, John betrays the crew, opening the doors for the Americans. At that moment, the lights flicker, and Komarov vanishes. Zhana finds an ancient bunker containing real water, but senses there's something even greater hidden within. Goldstein compares Komarov to the loyal dog Hachiko, waiting for his masters for millennia. Mars, once a thriving world, was left barren by its inhabitants, who were, in fact, Earth's ancestors, the Atlanteans. Komarov reveals that Zhana is the link between Earth and Mars. She alone must decide if humanity deserves another chance. The military intervenes, leading to violence aboard the ship. John fatally shoots Komarov, and Zhana collapses in pain. Yet moments later, she and Simon discover breathable air in the bunker. When they resurface, they see a figure in a spacesuit, Komarov, alive once more. With a storm approaching and the Americans abandoning them, Meyer realizes that they were not merely at Mars's North Pole, but rather in the distant past, when the planet was still alive. Goldstein, enraged by Ulysses' survival, declares he will go to Mars himself. And so, the first season ends.